following podcast is scheduled for one fall and is for the World Occult Heavyweight Championship. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Greyhorn Pagans podcasts. This one will actually be pre-recorded instead of the usual live shows that I do, making some changes, but I have made a separate video about that in several blogs. So with that out of the way, I want to introduce my guest, the reigning, defending occult heavyweights champion of the internet, Mr. NY Patriot. What up, man? Thank you for coming.
Thank you for that intro. That was amazing. I appreciate it.
I have to give you a wrestling intro. For covering wrestling, I have to give you a wrestling intro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. That really, you know, it's so funny. I didn't really even catch that. Fuck. It must be too early. Yeah, that was like a total intro for wrestling. That's great.
I'm too big of a wrestling fan not to do it.
It was slick. I like that.
So I really wonder if by the end of this, I will still be as much of a wrestling fan, because you know the occult and pro wrestling, or I mean, you can, even with WWE, you can call it pro wrestling now. Before that, it was sports entertainment. Like, you could even get fined if you call yourself a pro wrestler. No, you're a superstar. You're a sports entertainer.
Yeah, you know, I have a feeling that all has to do with insurance purposes. I'm sure like changing that name kind of like makes you less liable for shit. You know what I'm saying? There's some money motivation behind Vince McMahon changing all that shit at one point.
Oh, that would absolutely not surprise me. I mean, as a wrestler in the WWE, at least, I know that you are like technically freelancing, so like you don't even get health insurance or healthcare. I mean, if you get injured like during a match or on the show, yeah, like they'll pay for it, but outside of that, it's, you know, good luck.
It's pretty much probably like a 1099. Oh, well, I mean, I don't think you would know what that is because you don't pay taxes over here, but it's kind of like, you know, like someone's just paying you and you pretty much got to be like putting into your own shit, your own health insurance, your own, like, you know, unemployment, all that stuff. Yeah. You know, and that's kind of the interesting thing, which when you mentioned like looking for, you know, people to cover like occultism in sports, because like I was a big wrestling fan as a child. I think, you know, a lot of us were anyway, especially during the 80s and 90s. If you were around for that, I think, you know, when Hulk Hogan, and then even into the NWO, I think that kind of like spurred wrestling again, like got it hyped up. But from, you know, like looking back at wrestling, it definitely seems to like the characters, I think, when you start looking at some of the ones that got really big and really captivated a lot of people's attention and got people to really fall in love with the characters, a lot of the older ones from like, and I think I had mentioned to you earlier, watching Dark Side of the Ring, you start to realize like a lot of these, some of them were pitched by the people themselves. And then there are some things that I've even seen where like Vince McMahon or the WWE or WWF at the time was even pitching ideas to people that you have to even question, like that seems occult on their end. But some of the ones that did very well, to me, in my opinion, a lot of them tend to kind of pick almost an occult aspect to it, or very dark. And I think, and if you don't, it seems like the characters that they pick, crowd just falls in love with them. And I do think that has something to the aspect where these people understand, and I think this is why Vince McMahon lets these people run with these stories themselves, is because he realized that like what you're doing is getting these people to fall in love with the alter ego that you're taking on. Yeah. And then you're going to fill in those seats because those people are so in love with it. They're willing to spend money. They're willing to buy your clothes, your toys, all that. So like I do think the way that it has become today, because of the entertainment aspect to it, I do think, unfortunately, having a magician who's also a wrestler is going to be the best for you because
Yeah.
you're going to fill the seats in. These people are going to be bedazzled. They're going to be entertained. And that's even, in my opinion, even going back into looking into old occultists and old magicians. To a sense, some of them were even kind of in public, were very much like the magicians with let me pull a rabbit out of the hat. Instead of something like that, they would manipulate heat and mercury and make shit move, and people would be thinking it's like moving because of their
Yeah.
powers. You know what I'm saying? Like they understood certain sciences that the public didn't understand, and they could pull little tricks. So I do think it's like almost the same thing, but now on a grander scale. We have better technology. We can use lights, we use fireworks, pyrotechniques, screens, all
Yeah.
this. But even in some of the people that I'm going to show, some of their things, it's like, yo, you're basically almost like these guys are like dancing and doing all these body movements and all this stuff as they're coming into the ring. Like, yo, that dude's sitting fucking home and spending the time to come up with that. And because he knows that those movements are going to fucking shock the crowd and be like, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah. Like, could you like kind of call that like the whole entrance with the usually like the video package and the music and the pyro, like is that kind of a pre-ritual even?
I was thinking about that, and I found it interesting. Like, how like sometimes I was looking at, I think it was Finn Balor, and some guy was like calling
Ooh,
out the beast or the demon or whatever, and
yeah.
he's in the ring. And have you ever noticed sometimes like they'll call these dudes out, but it's like they never come any farther than like the entrance, or it's like they'll just kind of have like a little bit of a discussion, or they'll never get into the ring, or people will.
Yeah.
He was calling the demon in, and I was starting to wonder, like, even when these opponents are having the little tiffs, I found it interesting that this guy is calling himself the human, how the humans are going to control the demon. And then the demon shows up in the entrance and then eventually comes into your area now. And then he kicked his ass.
Yeah.
So I was like, was that almost like instead of evoking a demon, which you probably should do, which is in its
Mhm.
own separate space, you called the demon into your fucking area, and that's why he just kicked your ass in the ring. No, you know what I'm saying? It was almost like, was that an evocation just to bring in the demon to the show?
Oh shit, that might have actually been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I was like, yo, I was like, that almost seemed like a fucking evocation. No, invocation. That's the problem. He brought it into
Yeah.
his, not an evocation. And I was just like, yo, that's what it looked like to me. I was like, this was a dude who didn't know what he was doing, fucking around with magic, just invoked the demon and it kicked his ass and didn't work out well.
I
That's
mean
what it looks like to me.
that's usually
As a
that's
magician, like,
usually how it goes when you
whisper.
yeah, that's usually how it goes. Like you when you like start taunting a demon and he comes into your space, like yeah, he's gonna kick your ass, like no matter what.
Yeah, like even if it's like psychological, like just even on energy and time later on, like there's something that's just, they
Yeah.
don't do anything for free, put it down.
No, no, for sure. And a beating is definitely decent payment. Um, it's kind of like the ultimate fuck around and find out.
Yeah, oh, yeah, for real, right? That's funny. I like that. But no, like, yeah, what you were saying, sometimes I have wondered if a lot of those are even the intros. I do think, that's one thing that even Crowley was big on when it came to magic. He even mentions it in theory and practice. If you can do like a big elaborate show, like it's just going to make it better, in his opinion, especially if more people are even used and people start taking on like different aspects and kind of put
Yeah.
everything together. But I do think it's quite possible that some of those entrance things are kind of very ritualistic.
I
That's what I
mean,
think.
yeah, I know that. Another very popular thing that some wrestlers do, like if you look at the Usos, for example, like their old gimmick, they would do the haka. So the what is it like the warrior dance of the like the indigenous Polynesians or where are they from? Samoa, before they went into the ring, because it is a battle. It is a fight that, they're preparing themselves for. So yeah, it is a ritual, but more with a folkish style to it,
Mm.
like very very indigenous. And um but like, yeah, the wrestlers entrances, like everyone has their own entrance as well. Everyone always like makes something special of it. And yeah, of course that's, to draw in the attention, because like you can't just like walk out there and be like, okay, so hi, like I'm gonna wrestle now. The people are just gonna be like, okay, and who the fuck are you and why should we pay attention to you? Like
Yeah,
you're
right.
just nobody in wrestling gear, like walking to the ring. Like what are you? Some fan that just got backstage, stole some shit, and but yeah, I mean,
Even another thing with those intros and stuff, I have wondered, like, is that more of, because when you do a ritual, it doesn't necessarily mean like you couldn't have started it before the show started. All the like I have wondered like
mm,
sometimes like when they're coming in and doing their thing, is that almost kind of like how like doing ritual work, if you want to raise the energy, you
yeah.
could play instruments, act out stuff, do whatever works for you. Sometimes I wonder, like, is that whole part of like you kind of raising the energy for you to actually get into, I guess, the meat and potatoes of the ritual when you start doing the acting out, when you start like,
Oh,
like
so
what if those battles are even you two mimicking gods and like one of them's just gonna win at the end and you're reenacting what you want to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like I know that could sound a little
oh shit. So like
the
the
whole
entrance
thing,
would be,
we all know it's scripted to an extent. We all
yeah,
know there's always a winner at the end. And
yeah.
are those two just reenacting like how the ritual's gonna end? You know what I'm saying? Like that could be the battle of two gods right there.
Yeah, and like the ever popular story is always the underdog story, just big guy, little guy, David versus Goliath.
That's like one of the oldest occult tales, like the fucking hero's journey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it still sells. I mean, the hero's journey, like that's
The Rising Phoenix. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's why they say of some wrestlers that they're better off chasing the championship, that they're more entertaining chasing the championship than actually being the champion. Because like that's the hero's journey. That's the story that is being told. I mean, yeah, everybody wants a happy ending, but like you
You go.
don't come for you don't come for the one like winning the championship. Like the shit that draws you in is the story, it's the battles. You get beat down week after week after week, and then like on a big show, like a big pay-per-view or PLE as they call it nowadays, premium live events. It's no longer a pay-per-view. Too old school, I guess. Um, like finally when it matters, you beat the guy. That's and then of course the crowd goes nuts and they'll buy like even more of your merch because
Yeah.
they believe in you. And but yeah, like just the storytelling aspect itself is very very interesting, and like 90% of what wrestling is about. And then of course you have like just the also stories of like the giants against each other, like
Yeah.
the meat matches is what they like to call it. Just these two big buff dudes just beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah. Well, I even like sometimes wonder if like I mean in a sense you kind of took like the gladiators and just like stuck them in a the ring.
Yeah.
Wear a ring now too. I have even wondered like, and I really do think even to an extent. I mean, I think we can all say that was just used to entertain the masses in a sense. So I have
Oh
even
yeah.
wondered like that with wrestling because I do think wrestling, believe it or not, I mean, I don't know if it was done on purpose or it just organically happened, but I mean, if you look at Hulk Hogan, I think he was pretty big on like shaping kids' minds in the United States, basically for God and government. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the guy was really tall with blonde hair. I mean, it just seemed, nationalism and the look of Hulk Hogan. You start wondering, was that by accident? Like,
Yeah, the ultimate Aryan, you could say, blonde hair, blue eyes, big buff, trusts in America. Yeah, he like just
it is weird.
patriotism, nationalism personified.
And then, like, if you think about it, not too long after that, I mean, we were bombing the fuck out of the Middle East. So, I mean, oh, yeah, we're okay with that. Guiding government.
Yeah, just because Hulk Hogan said to, say your prayers and eat your vitamins.
Vitamins.
Yeah, yeah. No,
I'm a real American. I'll fight for everyone.
Yeah. Sure.
That's what we do now, right? Supposedly.
There is like they even like do special events on like these big Navy ships. I know that there was one like way back in the early days of WWE. Like it was, I believe, on a Navy ship. And like they'll do special events like for the veterans. They're tied into just so many things, like veterans and charity work.
Oh yeah.
Or like, even with other kind of sports. Like that's always fascinated me, that like now Triple H, who runs WWE, like if some other, let's say, big baseball team wins a Grand Series, I'm European, I don't know shit about that, but like he'll send them a custom made championship belt over. Like if so, I don't know, let's say the Yankees win something big.
Yeah.
I don't know, and he'll like send a custom made Yankees wrestling championship belt over to them as kind of a, congratulations, and from one big sports promotion to another. You'll see wrestlers like doing the first pitch on the field. So there's such a crossover with wrestling and everything else.
Well, like we were even talking beforehand, not to get into it too much, but like, I've recently had like people from associated with ICP on my show, and I've even covered them recently, thinking that they're occultists. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad or a good thing. That's just whatever. That's just my opinion. I think they're occultists. They've been associated with wrestling. I've been on a show with Mike Hideous, and he's coming on my show. He was in the Misfits for a little bit. He's an open Satanist. He has no problems admitting that. And they've been involved in wrestling. So, I mean, like, you even see like people who, in my opinion, if they're not open about it, I mean, they're kind of blatant about it. And I guess people don't want to realize it. You have people that are kind of, in my opinion, occultists in music, also interested in wrestling, and I think there's something there. But like what you're saying, wrestling is like, it's like everywhere. It's like it can easily work itself into everything. Look at how many, like you mentioned before, besides politicians, look how many become actors.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them not that I'm a huge fan of The Rock, but I actually think for an actor, he's not that bad.
Oh, dude is making like billions, really.
I mean, I know people always like, oh, well, it's like some sort of fucking like humility ritual. But I mean, he played like you took this dude who's like known as The Rock as a complete asshole, and then he played like a complete fairy in some movie. Like, I'm just saying, like, he's able to actually, like, he was able to switch characters and play out of what he was normally doing. And I thought that was somewhat impressive. I was like, this guy can actually act. And that's what I think wrestling really is all about, besides being in shape.
Exactly. The WWE has their own movie studios. Like they bring out their own movies. But yeah, like the well, let's say pro wrestling to Hollywood pipeline is very, very real. John Cena is just the latest example. He is on the same level as The Rock, where, at least in the world of pro wrestling, he is definitely on the same level. And now, he's becoming like that Hollywood star, or is that Hollywood star. So yeah, there's just pipelines to so many different things, and like even politics. The two wrestlers, at least two wrestlers. Jesse Ventura, of course, who most of us know either. And it's funny, some people don't even know him as a wrestler. Like there are so many people who just know him as, wasn't he a governor of California?
Yeah.
Or just, the crazy conspiracy theorist. Kane, the demon Kane, the so-called Undertaker's half brother, I believe. He is now the mayor of Knoxville. You have, of course, Donald Trump, who is in the WWE Hall of Fame, and they did the whole billionaire storyline with Vince McMahon. So, and I believe even in his cabinets when he was the sitting president, I believe Linda McMahon, that is Vince, his wife, was in his cabinet, had a position in his cabinet. So Trump is in the WWE Hall of Fame, and Vince McMahon, like the founder,
so interesting,
of WWE, because when his dad was the head, it was just a regional promotion. But like true WWF, WWE as we know it today, his wife had a position in Trump's cabinet. So, tit for tat.
Oh, that's so weird though, like how Trump even weaseled his way in there. Hall of Fame. The fuck?
Yeah. You have prepared some some points and all, because like you mentioned the demon Balor, like it's Finn Balor is the wrestler, and then you have the demon Balor.
First thing you have
Celtic mythology.
Even.
Yeah,
first have Malachi Black or Alistair. First, I did just want to mention, I'm not going to go over them because it would take too long, but like I did want to mention too that even like in mythology and other religions, you do have even things come up with wrestling. I mean, you have Enkidu locks horns with Gilgamesh. You got Ajax, they're with the Iliad of Homer. He wrestles, how do you say it? Odysseus or something like that. You have Jacob in the Bible wrestling with an angel. An old woman wrestles Thor at one point.
So I mean, Alistair Black, Malachi Black, Dutch wrestler. Actually, he is the founder of the wrestling school that I trained at for a while. So, like he's like I'm quite literally only a few steps removed from him.
Really?
But yeah, and he's very open about being an occultist. Like he's not ashamed of it. Like he'll admit it.
Yeah, I think I'm almost positive. There was things that I came across, and it was just like I wasn't sure how truthful it is. But I think like he even came out and admits like of being interested in Aleister Crowley, and that's why he took on Aleister as the first name.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think. I mean, my opinion. I mean, where else did that come from? But I mean,
Yeah. Or Tommy End, as he was known in the independent scene. Indeed, like just the symbolism, like how it's so
the sulfur thing that the church is taking over.
I mean, like
one thing I thought was interesting. It might be on maybe the next picture I have. He even has the emblem from the never ending story on his shit sometimes. Really? I was like, yo, that's interesting.
Let's see. Oh, that's this is a clip that you found.
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah.
I am neither saint nor sinner. I simply am. Because no man is ever truly good, and no man is ever truly evil. Allow yourself to fade to black. I was never meant to be the standard. I was raised by others. So the hell with your way. All I have is, and allow yourself to fade to black.
Inspired by for this.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, right. Yeah. Usually you're the one who forget to mute yourself. So I guess now
You're
it's
right.
me.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
No, it's oh man, that's so like I found the picture I was talking about earlier with when he was in AEW. Like this is how he presents himself in AEW. So with like his face like pretty much half black and the white contact, you know, you have
I got a chick that kind of does some shit with
the
her.
black and white duality, like quite literally. But yeah, Malachi Black, Alistair Black.
I think in the rest of that clip, he does mention some stuff that he is into. I think he talks about like getting into like where he. I don't know if you want to continue playing it.
Yeah, sure. That's
Okay. I kind of dove into European tribes from around the time when
Look at his
Julius Caesar
eye.
was around, and I stumbled upon this deity called Cernunnos or Cernunnos, and Cernunnos was this god of the underworld, or he guarded the passageways between two worlds.
Chernunos or Kernunos, he's also often associated or presented as the horned god. I believe also of Celtic mythology.
I think you might associate him with Moloch coming up. I could be wrong.
Let's see what he says.
And he wasn't necessarily good. He wasn't necessarily evil, but he was a gateway between the two, between the up and the down. And
nope. Okay. Don't think we're supposed to be showing this. Let's see. Nah. Okay. Not a shame.
What did it freeze?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
See?
Well, maybe I screwed it up. I don't know.
initial idea behind the name Malachi was from Children of the Corn. I've always liked the name Malachi, and Malachi means a small messenger, a lower messenger. In certain Hebrew texts, he is one of the messengers of God. He delivers bad omens, and I thought that was very fitting. So I used the Dutch spelling of the name because the American spelling has a CHI and the Dutch spelling is with a K. You know, and when I made the transition from Alistair to Malachi, like Alistair is such an Old Testament kind of name. It holds weight, and I wanted a name that had similar weight, and I felt Malachi was fitting for both the symbolic reasons, but also for the Old Testament reasoning behind it. So, you know, take in effect that I also used the demon Moloch from the book of King Solomon. And in some cases, Moloch is like an autumn demon, or like an entity that's being worshipped at autumn. I can't come up with the name. This is the issue when I'm I'm still Dutch, so sometimes the words don't always like line up. I wanted to have that Children of the Corn vibe to it as well, and that demon is basically a demon that would fit in that category. You know, as I also said to Jericho, I think the idea possession is
Oh, yeah.
terrifying. So I used a lot of like movies about possessions. You take your pick: Exorcism of Emily Rose, The Exorcist. And I thought the idea of this entity living inside Tommy N's head, called Malachi, or Moloch, basically manifesting himself through the wound of the eye and taking over Tom.
Oh shit!
I thought that was something
with the
different. I
eye.
thought that was something new. I
Oh
thought that
shit!
was something that I could use and I could convey and present.
Like how that just worked out.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
It's bugged out, right? It just worked out like that.
just worked out. It just does.
Yeah.
There's something with the eye, like possession and the eyes and whatever. Like also you hear that with the oh gosh, what is it, like the
There's always eyes.
like the Black Eye Club? Like it said that some kind of
Oh yeah, or you see people with like band-aids constantly like under one of their eyes.
yeah,
Got something
and
done.
supposedly, according to like some theories, some theorists, it's because of a like demonic or sometimes alien entity like crawling into their eye and attaching themselves to like the brain stem, I believe, and like quite literally taking over the person.
I could see.
So like the body is just like the husk.
That's what happened to all those people about 4 years ago. They're out in the streets protesting for BLM. That's exactly what you're talking about. He got possessed, someone in their eye, attached themselves to their brainstem, and then you find yourself out in the streets protesting about something you know zero fucks about, and you're angry and hating people. You don't.
Yeah, but like they were mostly peaceful protests. No,
that's the place to
cities, but okay.
Oh man. But I think I might have one more picture of him if you want to bring it up just to show.
I know.
Oh,
Yeah,
not the pictures. Sorry.
Oh, the pictures.
Yeah, I think we're the next one.
Oh, yeah.
This I thought was interesting. Not that I was checking it out, but when I was looking at videos of him, I was like, "Yo, this dude's got Lucifer sigil on his fucking ass."
Yeah, yeah, and then anti-hero on his vest.
You know what's crazy though with that, and like this was where my mind goes. This is really interesting. You've probably heard me say it before, but inside your eyeball, your pupil, when it gets bigger and smaller, there's a muscle that does that. And that's actually your sphincter muscle. So the same muscle that's inside your eye that dilates and controls how much light goes in and out is the same muscle in your asshole. So Lucifer being on his ass, could that actually have something to do with the pupil in your eye that's going to determine how much light comes in and out? Like, was he even thinking that far, or was it by accident?
Oh shit, that's a good one. And the lines crossing, because like your brain,
the lens of your eyeball too. Oh yeah, that's how your optic nerves were. Yeah, but
yeah, like if your brain like pretty much literally sees things inverted, but then like puts it the right way around,
crossed and like flipped upside down. Yeah. You get all mind fucked by the time it gets to your brain.
yeah. Oh shit, that's.
I don't know. It's like you gotta be like, was that just coincidence, or was that much thought put into this? It's like even when Crowley jokes around and says magic is in your butthole. Like when I realize that your eye shares the same muscle as your asshole, you're like, like, was he really just being a fucking retard, or was he just saying something like in a crazy way?
Oh man, that's
fucking weird, dude.
And this, oh man, this takes my mind to some weird fucking places. Like, I know that, like, especially in, especially with the women, of course, it's all about the ass and wanting a big ass and needing a big ass, and
there's something up with all that shit, dude. I really do. I know what you're getting at. Something very weird with that. And like, it's what's weird is how like we went from like boobs to butt, and like even when it comes down to tits, believe it or not, this doesn't sound crazy, there is a connection between the nipples and the pineal gland. fucking and adrenochrome, and when you're pregnant, your pineal glands are going to tell your tits that they need to start processing milk and start getting bigger for the child. And then when the child drinks that milk, the first stuff that's like right at the beginning, this like thin liquid, is like came from like the pineal gland and starts to regulate its fucking growth pattern, its sleep pattern, and all that shit. So like when you even start getting into science and you start looking at like sexual stuff, you have to start wondering, like, is it actually pointing to other biology inside your body?
Yeah, I've heard that.
There's even a part of ritual where you're supposed to grab your nipple in Crowley's Knox formula. You grab it and you're acting like you're holding a child that's like suckling on your tit. Is that actually telling you something, that there's now a response between your nipple activating your pineal gland? I know, as crazy as it sounds, people may not want to give him that much credit, but I really do think he understood science.
And you even have in the what's one of those movies? Mad Max.
Yeah.
The Mad Max movies, like, they're fucking popular now again because
those are classics.
You know, the newest one came out, of course, and you have this one character who like is quite literally like constantly like kind of touching and squeezing and whatever his nipple. And it's I know it's
weird, but you're like, what the fuck now?
Yeah. And it's like they even do that in, like, I remember this South Park episode, like, about customer service and like wanting to return a gift or whatever. It's like, oh, you want to return a gift? Like, oh, that's too bad. You know, it's like, what's up with that? It's so weird. Like, my mind, like, when you say those things, my mind goes through the weirdest places, like makes the weirdest connections.
Yo, my fans, my listeners know the same. I do the same thing, dude, especially when I get stoned. This is like how I even come up with these things. Is like seeing something, like Lisa will mention something about like some scientific thing, and it'll make me think of some random fucking weird shit. Like,
yeah.
Same thing, dude. It's like my brain just picks up these random like lost ideas in my head. Like, oh, this might work.
Yeah. And you like you mentioned the NWO before, you know, like the new world order of wrestling, you know, fronted by Hogan, of course, you know, the all-American hero, which is like very blatant symbolism in of itself, you know, like who the leader of the new world order is, like, now Hollywood Hogan. You know, Hollywood's another place like full of occultists and magicians. And it's funny, like in this picture, like I see this like this kid in the background, top right, with a Balor Club t-shirt, you know, Finn Balor.
Yeah, he's
and like it's like a kind of in reference to the Bullet Club, which is another faction. Oh yeah. And the faction, the Bullet Club, like, is loosely based, I believe, on the NWO. Like, they use the same, you know, same hand gesture. The evil eye, I believe.
Not that I mean, like I said before to you, like, you know, when it comes to like the Undertaker and Kane and like the NWO, I do think that was like almost blatant stuff. But like, if you really do think about it, I mean, going back, I'm like, yo, like, what were conspiracy theorists thinking about that back then? They're like, yo, what the fuck? These motherfuckers are saying this shit. No, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, they're throwing it in our face now. Like, is that what people are thinking back then? Like,
and it's funny, like,
Hollywood. You're right.
You could take it even further. Like the New World Order started in WCW, who was like what was
I started watching wrestling again,
founded as the competitor to WWE. Yeah. So like you had Hulk Hogan, the all-American, say your prayers, eat your vitamins in WWE. So like kind of you could say WWE are the good guys, not that they are. Yeah. And then you have Hollywood Hogan in their, biggest competitor in the NWO in WCW. So even that is like a story of opposites, of like kind of, duality, which is wrestling, man. Wrestling.
You know how many people got big in the NWO and made money off that, even though it was short lived? So many people. But that
yeah,
sprung off like even its own little, like you have the Wolf Pack, and you have the black and white, the
Yeah.
red and black. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And like there is even like some speculations going on that is what eventually kind of killed WCW, because the NWO just got so big and like pretty much everyone was in it, and you had splinter groups, even the BWO, like the Blue World Order, which was this just small faction of like maybe 4 or 5 guys, which was more meant as kind of a joke, I believe. Oh yeah, Vampiro. Yeah. But yeah, the Demon Balor, the Demon King. Yeah, that's shit. I mean, I love the character. I love, like the whole body paint, face paints. Indeed, with his entrance, as you can see here in the picture,
Yeah.
he even comes like kind of like
He like crawls out.
flying
Yeah,
on the
Very
stage.
theatrical. Very theatrical.
Yeah. And
And
his
that's
finishing move is the coup de grace, the hammer of mercy, really, the final blow. So even with that, like that's just, and it's basically a stomp from the top turnbuckle, but he calls it the coup de grace, the final blow of the blow of mercy.
Oh, mercy. That's interesting. If you want, you can play the video. I think he says a little bit, and I might have part of his entrance.
Sure.
I know your history, Seth. Do you know mine?
Oh, and his
Do you know
his feud with Seth Rollins?
Look at his hand.
Do you know
his
about
hand
the two
doing that
Hade
symbol?
duo who burned their ships once they landed ashore so there would be no chance of retreat? How about my namesake, Finn McCool? He was a giant who threw a piece of Ireland into the sea it made the Isle of Man. He was a hero who stabbed his own face with his own poisonous spear to survive the sleeping song of Aileen the Burner and save the city of Tara. And what about the monsters, Seth? The Doulahan? What about the Banshees, Seth, whose wails signal the end? Do you hear them screaming? And what about the worst of them all? The king of the demons, Balor. Do you know who Balor is, Seth? Do you know what he does? When his evil eye opens, the world ends. First the grass burns, then the seas boil, then the air catches fire and all of humanity falls. These are not just stories, Seth. They are a source of power. When a warrior enters a great battle, when he knows that his limbs and his flesh are not enough, he can tap into the power of these creatures and become a man greater than himself. He can become a myth. Now I know you have your demons, Seth, but you've never seen a demon like this. At SummerSlam, you'll meet the Demon King.
Because at the end of the day, the Demon King will have no choice but to bow down. The Demon,
Seth Rollins, one of his older gimmicks.
the Demon King will have no choice to bow down to the man.
Yeah.
Is that? This is why I was saying this is an invocation.
But to
I mean, that's like SR from Seth Rollins. I mean, Seth, another, like we just heard Tommy or Alistair speak about like the biblical names. I mean, Seth, that's another one.
Yeah.
Then the, you could also even, which is funny because he is battling, someone who is, like Finn Balor is Irish and is apparently very much into the Celtic mythology. You could even see this as kind of like the Celtic cross. like the solar cross, like not just the crosshairs.
Wow. That's
Which is
interesting.
just like that's another funny reference you could make. But yeah, Seth Rollins, the the architects, the one who like sold out, really, sold out his Shield teammates. Although he will tell you, which is such a great thing when people do that, he didn't sell out, he bought in. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's great, man. Let's see. Is it gonna
bow down to the first ever universe?
the heartbeats, the weapons?
Oh fuck. This is stuff keep skipping, sorry.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Rising things, young, rising from the gaps.
Gee. I might have made it a little too high quality.
Yeah, maybe.
It stops that. I mean, and then eventually crawls up, like you said, he gets on the floor, crawls through like the smoke, and went up there in there and kicked his ass.
Yeah, I mean that whole entrance, I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely epic, but like you can, there's so much symbolism, so much symbology in it. The, like, first of all, the red lights, the heartbeat, the smoke, like rising from the smoke. The whole like that's another thing that so many people do, like the kind of the Jesus pose, like he's the savior, but like he's really not, because he's the fucking demon.
I found it interesting with the ring of light above the ring. Because was that again, like when I had mentioned like an invocation, again, was that the circle that dude was in, his magical circle? And that's why
it is right above the ring where the battles are fought, where the biggest ritual is taking place. The square circle. Oh shit. Yeah, man.
Yeah, which is weird. Yeah, it just who knows? But I do have your boy Vampiro up next if you want to get into him.
Oh yeah.
Like vampire movies, I enjoy the literature and the history. I've actually participated in vampire cults, witchcraft, voodoo. I've studied religions now for 25 years, had paranormal TV shows that were very successful. I've done voodoo rituals. I've been baptized into different religions. I spent time in occult in Germany studying this. I don't like to watch the movies.
Well, this is much more interesting than the movie. So let's take the vampire cult, first of all, in Germany.
Yeah. Well,
how does that come about?
Well, because I just started to get into, when you I gotta see what I can and cannot say. There are certain things that you need to do to get in touch with certain people who take things to an extreme. And there are religious cults and religious movements and different things that you need to partake in.
To get access to somebody.
Like that, for example.
Oh, I understand.
So
yes.
Once you go through...
There's someone in our crew also,
okay.
by the way.
Well, once you go through certain rituals to get into certain things, you are allowed access to the next level.
Nice.
With vampirism, there was a big movement in the United States at one time where they had the blood drinking cult. People would actually bloodlet, and people would partake in that fantasy. It became a real sexual thing. But in Europe, Eastern Bloc Europe countries, it is part of their culture, and there are underground families, people that are actually into the historical origins of vampirism, and they do some extreme types of witchcraft and rituals, and I was there for a few of them. And
you go to this out of curiosity,
yes.
having nothing to do with furthering your character for TV or anything. This is just your own personal curiosity.
Yes.
I love how the presenter just, like, he has to make it like a little less serious. Like, so this is like just your own shit, you know? This is like kind of innocent. This is just you being curious. Has nothing to do with like any of the more serious stuff. Has nothing to do with what you do in the ring and in the movies and whatever. This is just you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Uh-huh.
Oh. And also, like, shows him his like a black kind of ring.
Yo, that was wild, right? Oh yeah, just like
it's true. One of the guys in our crew also has that.
Yeah, it's like the executive producer, the guy who's like financing the fucking thing.
Like, excuse me, you've seen that before? He's talking about vampire cults and whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, I know about that.
I thought I was just like, yo, that is some funny shit.
Oh, that, yeah, no, I know about that, but continue. Excuse me?
Oh, my wife's got that ring. On the nightstand.
Yeah, family heirloom, whatever. Shit. Oh,
fuck. That was
oh yeah, and that's also a thing. Like interviews out of characters or out of character. So like non-kayfabe interviews are called shoot interviews.
Oh, okay.
Because like in character, they're work interviews, so work and shoots, and which is it's also kind of funny. And again, like of course the the crosshairs. But yeah, let's continue. This is Vampiro is fascinating.
Yeah, 100%. Like I spent a week in Aleister Crowley's house in Italy, and we were doing these kind of things down in Sicily.
Oh, geez, why is it doing every video I have?
I don't know. Maybe I should pause it.
You obviously bring into your life certain forces that you shouldn't, and in voodoo.
Come on,
I did the
man.
ceremony. I was doing two at once, and you have a crown on your head, and the spirits, when they're floating, they see your crown, and that's the one, your guardian angel, that finds you and comes to you. When you leave that crown open and you don't finish the ceremony, the door is open, and these spirits that are so angry, whatever, they're flying around, and when they see somebody, an opportunity, bad things happen to you. And I have the photo on my iPhone. There are two. They're still following me from Guatemala, and it's a very deep thing. And it's something I don't recommend, but it's just something that I like.
I'm not going to gloss over that there are two spirits following you from Guatemala from a ritual you didn't finish?
Yes, and it was done in a morgue, and there was a murder that happened. There was a shootout, and two bodies came in, and they were still there at the time.
Shit that you do, right?
And they notice you, and they make a connection. Once you make that connection, and they're lost. And once there's that, they're still there. They're there. And every now and then, I know they're there. We'll make it known that they're there.
That was it.
Yeah, just some ritual in a morgue, and like two fresh bodies came in, like after a murder or whatever. Like no biggie, just shit that I do in my spare time. I stay in Aleister Crowley's house in fucking Sicily, Italy. Like, dude.
Yeah. I found that interesting that he said that.
Like he said so much in just this
few minutes
short clip, and he's very open about it, but you can like also see and hear at the same time that he's really like not comfortable with it.
He's still secretive about the specifics.
Yeah. I mean, he said so. Like, I gotta think how much I can say, like how much of this I can actually say out loud. He has to like keep it very broadly, because if he goes into specifics, like, God's know what will happen. Like, Jesus, man, I know Vampiro was into some messed up shit. I mean, just look at the guy and you're like, okay, you're into some weird shit, but. I mean, no offense, you know,
Like, what the
I've seen some of his character work in Lucha Underground, especially. That's like way past his prime when he was a wrestler. His character work and his, you know, the fancy of the dark side of things, like it's very obvious, and he's very immersed into it. But sheesh, I didn't know that it was to this extent, man. Wow.
Looked down for sure, dude. Yeah. You want to pull up those pictures? I think I have a few pictures of him, and then we can go into somebody else too.
Yeah.
There you go. There's
Oh yeah. This is yeah, when he was still a wrestler, the one on the left. Indeed, very, you know, with the hollow eyes kind of
might have been
makeup.
talking with Sting, I think, at that point, maybe.
The Craig Muda, yeah.
Yeah, he was the next one that I had.
Yeah, Japanese wrestler, very very famous, very popular Japanese wrestler, with the green mist, indeed, the poison mist, something that many wrestlers have copied from him, among which Malachi Black, but it's the black mist with him, which
I know
actually
was on green too, I think.
yeah, I always wonder how they do that. I mean, it has to be like some kind of capsule, of course, but
according to, like, I think this character, I think he's like being overcome by like a demon, or that's like a demon that he's using, that, like, I think he fights with. And there is a video that I have that I think it's old. If you want to play it, it kind of like, there was actually like a few minute short out there that shows him turning into this character by becoming possessed and then fighting somebody. So I have a little bit of like the possession part. Yeah, if you want to actually.
that's messed up. Yeah.
It's weird. Old.
Oh, this is some shit. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. It's so weird, like the trembling. You see that a lot. You see that often. I mean, it's kind of wacky, but at the same time, it's. Oh yeah. Still very much Japanese, like what you see in Japanese theater.
Yeah, and then he goes up and fights some monster.
Shit. You covered that before, right? Like with the whole like trembling, shaky.
That type of music to get you going and spread. Yeah.
Yeah, like wasn't that also with
Oh, that was
when you covered Twin Peaks?
Oh,
like
maybe.
the zigzag patterns and whatever.
Yes, sound waves. Yeah.
Oh, this is so. I mean, it's incredibly zany. It's you know, it's pretty weird, pretty theatrical. But like, if you like indeed view it as like he is, you know, overcome by some spirit or whatever, and with his face paint, you know, like turning black and white, and then the you know, the shakiness, the zigzag, and then it's like a different color. Like, could that be different entities trying to come in, or like he switches something? I don't know. It's really odd. But the Japanese have definitely have some shit as well. Major Japanese promotions. Oh, yeah.
There's a chick that I got at the end. I think might be like the last one after this. that I show, and she's like from the I think like the Oni or whatever, but like she calls herself the Empress, but she's Japanese, I'm pretty sure.
The Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka?
Yes.
Yeah. Told you I'm a wrestling fan.
yeah. I was like, you know what? I gotta get one chick in here at least.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, she's a very, very good wrestler, also with the green mists and the whole face paint and the masks and all of that. Yeah, very theatrical.
There's something I think up with that green mist shit or the green light, because like even in paranormal that's used. But I've even noticed like whenever you want to show like something that's like almost like otherworldly or something like coming in, even when it comes to movies, green light is like always this acceptable like thing that you can use an effect that always gives people this thought of some sort of spiritual paranormal scene going on.
Or like with the alien movies, like when the craft comes in, it's always like with some kind of a green light.
You know who talks about the green light a lot? Typo Negative. They're big.
Oh.
They're green and black too. All their album covers basically green and black, or a lot of them.
Oh shit! Right? Yeah.
Yeah. You know how you were talking about like the sine wave before? That Life is Killing Me. That's exactly what you're looking on the album cover. Green and black, and you're watching that zigzag because it's a heartbeat.
Oh,
it's the fucking album cover.
Same with very popular black metal bands, Cradle of Filth. They use a lot of green and black as well.
Something up with that scheme.
Yeah.
I think it's like almost like emerald and like a high archetype of Thoth in a sense, or somewhere like in that area. It's hard to explain. But instead of like, I guess like the female energy of Saturn, maybe the male aspect, like getting really high up there and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Explain.
Color schemes are very, very big. Like you see that a lot. Like in wrestling, of course, you have to use flashy colors to draw the attention as well. But it's indeed a lot of black and whites, black and reds, red and yellow. You'll see a lot, like especially with Hulk Hogan, which in like a lot of fast food, of course, like also uses the red and yellow combination. McDonald's, Burger King, whatever. All the things that you like kind of associate with America. America and fast food. Hulk Hogan and America. Yeah, definitely something of that. Definitely worth looking into further.
Oh, here I'm gonna pull up a video. I forgot to rip it, so I'm just gonna share it.
Okay.
This will be what's her face? So I'm not, Dave said it weird. It doesn't sound like the name. Her name is spelled Asuka. It looks like Asuka, but I think it's said like Asurta or something like that. But right?
Oh yeah. Oh God, Chelsea. Yeah. Another very popularly bimbo.
Who's it gonna be?
Say Reese.
Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, Saka Japan. Kevin Patrick, have you ever seen the movie Jurassic Park? Yes, sir. I mean the very first one. Do you remember when they lowered that poor goat into the chamber and we all knew what was about to go down? Yeah. I'd like you to meet our resident velociraptor, the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka. You see the face on Chelsea Green when Asuka's music hit the Grand Slam champion.
Also kind of reminds me of kind of a clown makeup.
Yeah.
And again with the eye, you could even say that like along her face and cheeks, like they're fucking bloody slashes or whatever.
Yeah.
I never really looked deeper into the character, but
what's What's interesting is that I've seen those slashes before. One time I saw it up on Madonna performance, I think, or some sort of performance I was asked to cover on a show. It may not even have been Madonna. It could have been something else. But there was they had these slashes like that on the back of the stage kind of before it started. And I thought it was weird. And I counted how many were there. And there was 7, and I started thinking maybe that's the 7 like slash blades on Mary, when sometimes she has that heart with the swords through it. And I don't know, it could have been that, it could not have been. But then like we went to go cover, this may not even be it, but it's just something I do find weird about those slash looking things. Eventually we went to go cover birds and their eyes on the Occult Rejects, because they do difference with their eyes than humans, and birds are used constantly in occult symbolism. Scientists are now finding out that like in the morning when the sun rises, I think they were doing some sort of experiment, but then ended up realizing every time when the sun rises, they start getting a certain frequencies that they see popping up, like however way they visualize it, and they start getting certain sounds, and they're realizing that the morning sun or the rising sun actually gives off certain tones and starts giving certain sounds. And the way that it's showing up on the way that they visualize it comes in slits like that. And they're noticing that when they translate that vibration to what the birds are mimicking vocally match. So they think that somehow birds can actually see sound, because their pupils actually do work magnetically and pull shit in, that they can actually see the sound that's coming off the sun, not necessarily hear it. And then what their morning chorus is them mimicking those slits that they're seeing in the vibration back. I know that sounds fucking wild, but I have I have wondered, like, whenever you see like those slit things, like in other stuff, you know, sometimes some lamans kind of have like the Vesica Pisces thing. I just like, is, you know, could that even like be showing you like sound again? Solar sound.
Oh shit, that might actually be, because I know from North Germanic mythology, the Vesica Pisces, that's where you know, the realm of primordial ice and the realm of primordial fire like came together in Gnungagap. It's is what, you know, we call it, from which, you know, the steam rose, which eventually like created everything. Again with like steam, like we saw that with Demon Batter, like with smoke. They will use that a lot as well, not just pyro, but also, you know, smoke and sparklers and yeah.
Yeah, that's you know, if you even think about like the whole Vesica Pisces thing, if you think about how you take those 2 circles and bring them together, if you really want to look at what you're seeing, that's almost kind of like a hemisync. You're getting 2 frequencies that you'll hear on each side, and then down the middle of your brain where you get the Vesica Pisces is where those 2 frequencies meet in the middle. And that's all, you know, again, we're getting into sound here. This interesting shit stuff.
Yeah.
Again, those random things, that's where my mind goes, how you were talking about before these. I just did one myself.
Shit, there is something to it. And what I find like also very interesting is like she has the same like same stuff with her eye as Malachi.
Yeah, you can
does.
pull up the pictures. I think I have something.
Yeah.
For her.
Oh yeah.
She does focus on one eye too.
Yeah. I mean that's
an Oni, which are like demons.
yeah. I mean, she's a beautiful woman, but goddamn, I wouldn't want to run up to her in a dark alley.
I found this one's a little bit more clownier.
Yeah, this is I think back when she was competing in Japan under her old name. But yeah, very much more clown, like very scary.
Definitely interesting. Definitely was an interesting character, I thought, especially coming from a chick. But I mean, there is a lot of the females too. I think a lot of them have kind of occult aspects to them. I'd
Yeah,
even like not so much herself, but I had even wondered at one point, you know, I wondered was it part of her demise? Not saying that China and I think Triple H may have been into that shit, but I definitely think they've been given that image in certain ways. It may be kind of pimped out to a negative aspect. And China's name is spelled differently. So I have wondered if given like roles that kind of maybe kind of
spelled with a Y, and she was just this big, like, bodybuilder woman. The eighth wonder of the world, she was also called, I believe.
which, you know, if you get into like the number 8 again and how I do like bring that back to like Hod and Toth, you do also get the hermaphrodite. That would be a symbol for that. And like, not that she's, you know, but she was a very masculine shit
Yeah.
chick. You know, you're kind of mixing in, like, if you really like want to start getting into weird shit, I mean, really, the male aspect of the brain is there first, and then it creates the female aspect, or it wouldn't fucking like really be able to do anything at work, right? So, you know, like you're even kind of like almost seeing like even literally like alchemy or like the physical body or like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird if you want to start getting into shit like that.
I mean, yeah, she was this very, very big, muscular woman, of course, and um, she did win what is considered to be a male championship. I believe the Intercontinental Championship. It was back then. There are some women, like especially the bigger women, may it just be bigger in size, like size wise, or you know, the bodybuilder type woman. They'll like sometimes as more of a gimmick, especially with the Royal Rumble matches. Like they'll put a big woman, like I said, big either size or strength wise, in with the men, because you know she is that big and that strong that she can, you know, even fight on a man's level, if you will. Um, they make more of a gimmick out of it. It's even been done the other way around with Santino Marella, a wrestler. He's not on the roster anymore, but he's always had more of a comedy gimmick. He actually won the Women's Royal Rumble, like pretty much in drag. Like he was wearing women's clothing and like had a wig on and everything, and he won the Women's Royal Rumble.
What color
So
wig was it? Do you know offhand?
shorter wig, like the kind of the
Is
Karen,
it like an
cut,
outlandish
if you
like
will.
orange color or anything like that?
No, black, just basic
Oh,
black, and they tried to like disguise it as much as they could that he's a man. I mean, he is a little whatever. So it is a bit easier, but it was basically a man in drag winning a like women's match. Like they'll do those things every now and then that, you know, I kind of question, and a lot of fans with it. Like there was also this whole big outrage that, oh, you know, what's a man doing in the Women's Royal Rumble and like winning it, even like it's the Women's Royal Rumble. So like, why is a man in women's dress or fucking drag winning it? Like, what's up with that? Like you could even say or like make a case that it's some kind of a humiliation ritual because he had to fight in drag, like in a dress and a wig and, you know, all of that. He had to fight as a woman in between the women. It's fascinating how much weird stuff is going on just in wrestling. I mean, yeah, it's theater, like 90% of it is theater, but and who was it who mentioned Jericho? Like Chris Jericho, another wrestler that's also like he's still active even. He's like past his prime and is kind of overstaying his welcome. But his finishing move is interesting. Like it's kind of a Boston crab. So like he'll like kind of sit on your back and has your feet under his arms and like overarch your back, and he calls it the walls of Jericho.
Yeah. Where is he from?
He is he got started as a cruiserweight in WCW, eventually like really made his name into in WWE, where even like when he comes out, the first thing you'll hear is break the walls down, because Jericho. And now he's fighting in AEW and also has his band, of course, Fozzy. And it's funny. His theme song, I don't know if he still uses it, but for the longest time he used it, was I think their biggest hits, Judas. And one of the finishers that he uses is a spinning back elbow, which he calls the Judas kiss, or the Judas effect, I believe. So he has a submission move called the Walls of Jericho. He has like just this striking finisher, which he calls the Judas effect. His entrance song for the longest time was his band Fozzy, of which he's the front man, with their hits, Judas.
Haven't they done covers?
Probably.
For some reason, I remember somebody putting them on recently, and they're like, "Do you know who this is?" I was like, "No." They're like, "You never guess who's singing." They're like, "Yes," and I'm like, "Give me a hint." They're like, "They're a wrestler." I was like, "No fucking idea. I don't know." They're like Jericho, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, Chris Jericho. Yeah, and they're Fozzy they're actually quite popular. He has his own cruise as well, the Jericho Cruise.
Wow.
Where he promotes wrestling matches as well. He has his own championship now as well, which can only be defended on the cruise. So you could call it a maritime championship, even. Like he's definitely out there, and like most of his gimmicks now are very meta. Yeah, like he'll take something that the fans like keep shouting at him, or the IWC, the internet wrestling community, like says about him, and he's like, okay, cool, I'm gonna like create a character of all of that. So now, because like he is a bit older and he is the veteran, like now he's the learning tree. Yeah, like he takes the younger, less experienced wrestlers under his wings, and he takes them under the learning tree of Jericho. And the motherfucker keeps doing that, and that's that. He has a knack of staying relevant.
Well, that's even another thing. I've even said that about like, I'm not saying 50 Cent's an occultist, but there is something to where people even trying to stay relevant. Like this whole P. Diddy thing, like I totally forgot 50 Cent existed until P. Diddy got busted, because like 50 Cent's been writing his ass so much and making all these crazy memes and talking all this shit. You start seeing it shared and it starts popping up, and and every one of them he's got his tags to advertise his alcohol and shit on the bottom. So it's like, people like, it's like, this guy's literally writing like P. Diddy right now to like make himself relevant again. And I think like he's even working on a documentary on the Gilgo Beach. So it's like, oh, so like you get your name out there already, and then when you come out with Gilgo Beach, people already they've been talking about 50 Cent. You just went up to the White House recently. It's like all these little things he's doing to like fucking keep his name relevant, because I'm sure he's trying to become relevant somewhere else now. do something different. But
Yeah.
I do think like they understand, like, you know, like we were saying before, like even in wrestling, to be the bad guy, you still got to be relevant. People got to know who you are. You got to
Yeah.
be in people's minds. So like, just regardless, I think you have to, like, these people understand just getting your name popping up in people's minds again when you want to try to accomplish stuff.
Yeah. Because, you know, like you can, it's easy to, you know, make people hate you, but it's very difficult or much more difficult to like make people hate you, but still want to come out and see you. Because that's in wrestling, that's what a good heel will do. It's like, yeah, he'll have people hate him or her, but they'll still come to the show. Why? Because they want to see, you know, him or her get their ass kicked. That's why they come to the show. It's like the bad guy and he's up against, you know, a good guy. Of course, you got to have to, you know, the good versus bad. And it's like, yeah, he's a bad guy, but I so want to see his ass just get kicked into next week. I'm still going to go. I'm still going to buy that, you know, $150 tickets and buy his merch. And, you know, like when he comes out, I'm still going to fucking boo him. So I'm still going to, you know, give him that energy, if you will. I'm still going to do the energy transfer.
Yeah, energy transfer.
So
that's actually, you know, pretty important to bring up too. You know, how do you think it feels when those people are out there, gotten all those people chanting their name and shit? You know, that gets them going too.
Oh, that I imagine like
they
that.
Go out there and they probably feel like fucking gods. If some of them have a huge ego, they're like, look at all these motherfuckers cheering me on.
I mean, like your name is on the billboards, on like the side of the bus. You know, you're doing interviews and charity work and whatever, you know, especially if you're the face of the company, for example, like you are WWE. So I think it would be very, very hard for, you know, your average man to stay humble.
Good point.
And like as you said, you have tens of thousands, and sometimes with like WrestleMania, for example, you know, the biggest wrestling event in the year, you'll have hundreds of thousands of people chanting your name, cheering you on. I mean, that's wild. That's wild. You know, if like first of all that you can get tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people chanting your name. That's some fucking magic right there. I mean,
people there are people on the TV paying glued to watch you.
Yeah. You know, the people glued to the Black Mirror where, you know, where they see you perform all these things, these rituals, if you will, and still like chant for you, you know, the millions watching at home and the thousands here in the arena. That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. And I can just imagine the high that like comes of it. It's just, you know, when it's finally 1, 2, 3, and you won, and everybody just like the whole crowd in the building and everyone at home, it just, you know, erupts like just this huge unload of energy. You know, you could even take it in a sexual way if you want to. Like, you know, you've been edging the crowd for so long, and now finally they get to, you know, they get to release, and it's just.
Well, even that feeling of excitement feels like something rises up and like explodes within you anyway. I mean, it's not an orgasm, but you know, like even a feeling of like excitement like that, there is just like a little intense feeling popping off.
Yeah.
When it finally starts up on
the jitters. Yeah.
Something going on.
And then you finally you get to hold that championship belt above your head, and like, you know, you finally did it. And oh man, I get why people like go into wrestling, because they they see that. They see like what all they can get, the amount of praise and the amount of energy that, you know, they can get of it, and they're just like, I want that too, you know. And I think especially like the Rex to Riches story is also very prominent in wrestling. You know, people sleeping in their car because like they got kicked out of the house or lost their house or whatever, and like all they do is um like they'll sleep in their car like on the parking lots of the school that they train at. And
You hear
you
a
know,
lot of the old
eventually
school wrestlers
they
tell 'em,
get that chance. And so
yeah,
Rex Rich is like that's a story that sells as well, especially when it's you know, a face or underdog character. It makes them even more likable because, oh, they literally came from nothing.
yeah, you hear a lot of those stories. I heard a lot of that watching like Dark Side of the Ring and like some other stuff. You hear a lot of these guys were like in like fucking cars hoping that they're even gonna like make it to these shows. Like
Yeah.
they're going like they're driving all over it too. It's not like they're getting transportation. They're talking about like they're just basically in their car driving around chasing shows, trying to get booked or trying to be allowed to wrestle at them. It's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Like they
And
really at the beginning, it sounded like they really were getting pimped the fuck out. Really.
I mean, yeah, they were. They were like for real because, and I know from experience that like it's not even the match itself that's the most grueling. It's the traveling. Like they'll like especially in the older days, like I think now it's a little better, but you know, they finish out the show and then like you don't get to rest. No, you hop in your car and you go over to the next town. And if you're lucky, you know, you get a few hours of sleep, you get a workout in before the show, and then it's, you know, same thing all over again. I mean, I heard from interviews with Mark Calloway, who plays the Undertaker, that when he was in his prime, they did 270 days out of the year. 270 days of traveling and matches. And
Yeah, sometimes when they start talking about how their marriage falls apart, they talk about how much work, how many days a year they worked, and you're like, what the fuck?
yeah,
Or like how many like days away they were home. I'm like, dude, I mean, did you expect to happen?
and like some of those wrestlers, like if they have a little time in between, you know, they'll be on the road like 3 weeks straight, and in those 3 weeks they'll be at home for 3 hours before they have to go and catch the next flight.
Yeah.
I mean, like I applaud the wrestlers who've been like married for years and years. Like that's some dedication on their partner's parts and their part as well. You know, like imagine being a new father, like your first child, and you're on the road, you know, like 3, 4, 5 weeks straight. You know, you're missing. You'll hear that a lot from the like especially the second generation wrestlers, like whose parents got their start in the business, and then, you know, they go into the business as well. It's like, yeah, my dad was never home. You know, he missed this birthday, he missed this event, he missed that, he missed, you know, this and the other. And like, when did I get to see my dad? Saturday night on TV.
Yeah, ain't that some shit?
I mean, that's got to be hard, man. So, but then to still make the conscientious choice to go into the business yourself, knowing what it can do.
That the person must be very in love with doing that. I think it's like an almost like borderline obsession, probably. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're putting that in front of all that other stuff, something
mean,
something like that, something's there.
some people definitely do. Like, wrestling comes first. Wrestling is their life, and I can see that in a way too. Like, when we talk like a little about the gimmicks and becoming that alter ego. I think for a lot of wrestlers, especially on the higher levels, the main cards or on top of like the top of the card, I think that wrestling in front of a audience and being cheered or being booed, I think that's really all they have. Like, that's what they know. If you've been doing it for years and years and years on end, you eventually like become that character. I know that Ric Flair is a very good example of that. He in like IRL, he was the Ric Flair that you see on TV. Like, there was really no difference between the Ric Flair you'll see in the main event and the Ric Flair you'll meet out on the street. It's often said that he lived his gimmick.
I could see that. I mean, that's
so. I think then to go back. That's why so many wrestlers or like athletes in general have such a hard time with retirement, because then all of a sudden they're just I know that the latest example I know we could bring up, but the Undertaker, he finally got his closure because he's always been the Undertaker. He's been that for what, 30, 40
long time
years, 50 maybe even. And now all of a sudden he's no longer, I mean, he's still the Undertaker. He'll always be the Undertaker, but he's now just Mark Calloway, the wrestler known as the Undertaker. But he doesn't go out there anymore. He doesn't do the matches anymore. And now he has these huge amounts of free time on his hands. Like, I can imagine if you're out on the road 3 weeks straight and then all of a sudden you're at home and you're just like, I don't know how this goes. Like, regular life, how do you do that? So I think even the wrestlers themselves, like, they get caught up in it. That wrestling becomes their life. It becomes
sure
everything that they know.
And then you're even saying, like, even if, like, people fall in love with the alter ego, it's like, damn, it's like, is this what I need to do in public for people to like me there too? Like, I see what you're getting at. And like, I would even wonder, like, it's got to be, if, like you were saying before, if you really even get into like the whole thing of how people like almost worshiping you, like, think what happens, like, when you don't want to stop and it's just, unfortunately, the crowd isn't cheering for you that much anymore. Yo, that's got to be a mind fuck.
Yeah, because that's as a wrestler, as a performer, like, that's the worst thing that can happen. Not that people boo you or whatever, but that they're silent, that they don't care, that you don't
anymore. Yeah.
That you don't get that energy transfer from them. Like, you'll come out and it's just like nothing. That's gotta be killing.
I agree. I think that was all I had with my notes and everything. Well, with my slides and stuff. So
awesome. Well, yeah, we definitely covered a lot. Covered some good examples. Reasons,
definitely some interesting characters. But I mean, I think, like we were saying before, I mean, there's just tons and tons of it in there, in a sense. But
oh yeah, I mean, I like have so much more that I could like talk about for another hour and a half, but maybe I should split it up in in multiple parts, because wrestling, it's huge, and just the entertainment and symbolism. I mean, what you have shown already, like, those are just some very like more blatant examples. There's so much more like you can do with the names, for example, like one that is now very popular, Roman Reigns.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, and his or the logo that he used to use, I don't know if he still does it, but it's the kind of the 33, but like one of the threes inverted and then with a nail, I believe, like in between. So you have like Roman Reigns, like the Romans reign, and 33 and the nail, and like you do the math.
Is it almost kind of like a Caduceus looking thing too?
You know
I
what?
gotta look this up.
Uh,
That's interesting.
I'll look it up real quick. We'll do that as a finisher.
Like, oh, okay. I see.
See, it's kind of a yeah, and he calls himself the I think this is the best one. He calls himself the head of the table because now he is the head of the bloodline, of the Samoan bloodline. Like that's a whole thing now. Let's see. This one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not what had envisioned in my head, but that is interesting though.
It's also kind of spider looking.
Yeah,
in a way.
that's what I thought too. Yeah.
But like I've heard it say before that it's kind of the 33 and then with the neck
Yeah, for sure.
in the middle because Roman reigns and literally the way you reigns are EIGNS. So yeah, there's so much, like even with just the logos, like that's a thing I want to cover as well with the sports aspect, like just the logos. Like there has to be something to it. Maybe for another time, maybe another guest. We'll see. It's all in the future still. But yeah, we'll leave it at this. We've covered a lot, covered some very blatant examples, gone a little bit deeper into it. Eyes, assholes, and everything.
It was funny when you said that. I even thought that. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right." We even went into Lucifer.
Yeah. I mean, the things you come up with, the connections your brain makes every now and then.
Wild stuff. I appreciated you actually got it. That's what I was like. Oh,
yeah.
At least this dude's seeing what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've been, diving into this stuff for way too long, as well. So, watch a lot of your stuff.
Thank you.
Of course, and gone from there. When we went into the ICP stuff, the Magi's behind the mic, that really was a good one, and like connects into wrestling as well. Like I said, they have their own. They have their own promotion. They've been in WCW. They've been in WWE. Probably ECW as well. The Extreme Championship Wrestling, like the horror.
I think right now Violent J is actually like touring with like some sort of wrestling thing right now, like a short thing, nothing crazy, but yeah, because I follow them on Instagram and I'm like, yo, this motherfucker is like still involved in wrestling. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean they have their own promotion, Juggalo Championship Wrestling. It's, I mean, like you don't take it as seriously as the WWE. I believe it's more for shits and giggles, and because they're just such big wrestling fans themselves, they were just like, you know what, we're gonna do this shit too because fuck it, because we can, like we have the fan base, we have the money, fuck it. But yeah, just the connections you can make between wrestling and just everything else, it's insane. It really is
interesting.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Just before we go, plug your stuff real quick, man. For the people who don't know what you're about yet.
Sure. Thank you very much, first of all, for having me come on. I had a blast. That was a lot of fun. It's been a while since we spoke, and It truly was nice catching up with you again, man. I had a lot of good laughs, and I thought that was a really good talk. I got the Occult Rejects, and I do also co-host the Spiritual Gangsters, which is a show with that Teresa has. But the Occult Rejects, you can find that on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, and all major podcasts. And it's also on Twitter and Instagram. And thank you very much again, bud.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's been my pleasure. And you can, of course, find everything that we do with the Greyhorn Pagans on our website, www.greyhornpagans.com. The Greyhorn Pagans podcast is on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter. That's where the video can be found. And of course, all the audio can be found on the bigger podcasting platforms. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, share, leave something nice in the comments. Leave your favorite wrestler in the comments, because why not? Let's see how occult that motherfucker is. And
definitely share it.
Oh yeah, I mean this. Yeah, we can do so much more. But yeah, this is it for now. Thank you all so much, Nick. Thank you again, and yeah, until next time, everyone. Bye bye. All so much for watching yet another episode of the Greyhorn Pagans podcast. It really means a lot that you do. Do remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support us a little further, you can leave a donation via Ko-Fi. You can buy our